Ladies and gentlemen, this is Scott Pollack, Chief Editor of the Critical Post Chicago, reporting. And welcome to another edition of the Goldwater Report. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for visiting us here at the Critical Post Chicago. As is customary and will always be customary at this broadcast, we want to remind you about H.R. 5736, amended into the 2013 Patriot Act, or National Defense Authorization Act, the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, which legalizes propaganda by the American federal government upon the good people of America. And again, signed into law recently with the passage of the 2015 National Defense Authorization Act. Propaganda is in full force by the American federal government upon the people, the good people of this nation. Be very careful about what you're listening to, what you're reading, and what you're watching, whether it be on the radio, on the internet, or on television. There is agendas upon agendas behind all of this stuff. Nothing is an accident. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to remind the press that it is not living up to its responsibility, nor is this government legitimate, because we don't know who killed Jack Kennedy. Who killed Jack Kennedy? And until this government comes clean, until the press uses the vast resources they say they have in order to find out, you can't trust anything in this country by any of the people who appear to be in the lead. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see what the wording is of the H.R. 5736 at the top of the Critical Post Chicago. Right here, it says House Bill H.R. 5736, the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, the act that legalizes propaganda by the U.S. government directed at the American people. If you want to familiarize yourself with that wording. And above that, you can see the full text of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which we published 2 years ago in November of 2013. And we hear that Julian Assange has put up a $100,000 reward to find out what the secret amendments are that have been included in the new text of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The Trans-Pacific Partnership basically surrenders the sovereignty of the United States to the United Nations. And it is one of the final linchpins, from what we understand from what we're reading, of the last act of globalizing the entire world community. And above that, you can see that there's a new article at the Critical Post from Harmon L. Taylor, entitled "We're Not on a Plantation, It's a Federal Thing." And these are facts from Harmon L. Taylor. So that's the latest articles that we have up there. Ladies and gentlemen, what I can tell you is that the investigations that we have ongoing are into mortgage fraud, and that is expanding. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Indiana speaking with Carol Keene, and I was met there by the point man from the White Hat Report, and the two of us sat and watched Carol, who is basically a paralegal and a very good one, show us what is being done in the circuit courts of this country regarding mortgage foreclosure actions upon citizens. It is an astounding amount of evidence, and that is expanding because she is bringing in an associate of hers, a man by the name of Ken Dost, who is defending his own action in court pro se in Oregon, and the things that he has found. These folks will be at nightwaveradio.net and nightwaveradio.com, and we'll be announcing that schedule shortly. Denise Rednauer is going to be on Thursday night, and every Thursday night that we can get her to come on the air. I believe it's going to be a regularly scheduled thing. So stay tuned for that. Ladies and gentlemen, the initiatives here at the Critical Post Chicago also direct us to put an investigation into the Federal Election Commission, since we are in another presidential voting season. And we would like to publish our phone number again, which is 312-544-0134. Or you can send any tips, news tips, to B. Sidler, B-S-I-D-L-E-R, at thecritical-post.com. If you have any news tips or goings-on out there that you think we should be aware of in your community, town, neighborhood, what have you. Again, you can leave a message at 312-544-0134 with any news tips you have. We are attempting to be the people's paper. So please, if anybody's got any insiders in any corporations, and those corporations are doing nefarious things, and they want to become an informant, please inform them that they can call the Critical Post Chicago with their information at 312-544-0134. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to remind the press of this country and the federal government of this country that they are shirking their responsibilities to the good people of America. And they have been doing so for 50 years because we don't know who killed Jack Kennedy. And that's when this country was taken over. That was the final straw. Who killed Jack Kennedy? And until we know that, no legitimate, we can't consider this government legitimate. They admitted in an investigation in 1987 that there was a conspiracy, and then they sealed the records. We want to know. This is not old news, ladies and gentlemen. Who killed Jack Kennedy? Ladies and gentlemen, the distraction index, of which there is no competent measure, can only be termed in one phrase, and that phrase is, it is overwhelming. And before the Critical Post Chicago can begin focusing on news reporting that matters in terms of what is affecting your livelihoods and your pocketbooks, we feel it is imperative that we visit what is consuming the attentions of the American populace as well as all populations on the face of the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, the following are among the largest narratives being put out in media companies, large and small, all of which are faking the idea that they are news reporting agencies. Because they are not. And an awful lot of yellow journalism going on out there. And an awful lot of propagandizing. But these are the largest narratives. And in no particular order, they are the following. The ongoing war on terror, including the threat from Middle East destabilization. The anti-Israel PR war being surreptitiously led by the Council on American Islamic Relations. Class warfare, including black victimization, homosexual civil rights, illegal immigration. The alleged war on female inequality in the workplace. The large volume of student debt regarding college tuition. The abortion and anti-abortion debate. The gun control debate. The voter ID and registration debate and voter fraud irregularities. The Patient Protection Affordable Care Act. Unemployment and GDP figures. The widening gap between the rich and the poor. The war on drugs and the legalization or decriminalization of marijuana. Federal weaponization of the police departments and police brutality. The surveillance state by the federal government of the U.S. and the British Commonwealth. Riots around the country in Ferguson, Missouri and Baltimore, Maryland. IRS bullying for political purposes. Sports and entertainment celebrity fetishes. Polling data being perpetrated by pollsters and being reported by all mass media outlets. Federal Reserve money printing. United Nations meeting led by the G7 and the G20. Lies being told by nations, politicians of all nations. Problems with the government-funded public school system and the rollout of Common Core. The presidential election season beauty contest. Arguments concerning the debate about the Constitution of the United States. The bought and sold Congress of the United States and the bought and sold House of Commons and House of Lords in Britain. Natural disasters. Large transportation accidents. Global warming warnings. Oil corporation drilling and fracking. Various pandemics like Ebola and bird flu viruses. The monetary crisis in the European Union involving Greece and other fragile economies like Italy, Spain, and Portugal. Celebrity wrongdoings. Sexual misconduct by high-profile individuals, political, sports, clergy, and entertainment. personalities, the Chinese and Russian threat, saber rattling and missile launches from North Korea, the crisis in the Ukraine between the U.S.-led NATO alliance and Russia, the rumor mill between politicians, and the he said, she said war of words by various political celebrities. Former news anchors in major outlets being caught in their lies. Banks and large hedge fund managers being caught rigging the financial markets and receiving fines by bureaucratic agencies charged with their oversight. The GMO debate regarding large corporate players like Monsanto, Archer Daniels Midland, ConAgra, and other large corporate conglomerate food producers. Then there's the narratives from the alternative media. The gun control debate. Apparent geoengineering and chemtrail aerosol spraying from high-altitude jet flyovers. The Illuminati. The New World Order initiatives better known as Agenda 21. The President's birth certificate. The apparent activities of a now known shadow government. The alleged link between the Vatican, London banking, and the U.S. military establishments centered in Washington, D.C. Black budget initiatives being brought to light by whistleblowers. False flag incidents, real and imaginary. Psychological operations by the CIA and international intelligence agencies upon unsuspecting populations around the world. The apparent stupidity of the unsuspecting American population. UFO phenomenon, and alleged alien being presence or infestation, and abduction experiences. Psychic phenomena, secret space programs, the tunnel system underneath the United States, Area 51, what's going on beneath the Archuleta Mesa and the underground alien base at Dulce, New Mexico, whistleblower activity of various subject matters, alternative histories of the world as we thought we knew it, banking system fraud activity, the fraud being perpetrated in several areas by big medicine and big pharmaceutical corporations, NASA cover-up operations, advanced technology cover-ups by big defense corporations and big oil corporations, the official deniability of government misdeeds, bad information regarding the Constitution and the Act of 1871, pedophilia allegations perpetrated at the Roman Catholic Church and upper echelons of the political class, whistleblowers coming forward about the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and the Bilderberg groups, and the news reports concerning the conspiracies regarding all three of them in conjunction and working with each other. I'm sure we're missing some of the narratives. If you have any other further suggestions as to what narratives we might be missing in what we would call major media corporate conglomerate reporting or alternative news reporting, you can call 312-544-0134 and we will field your suggestions. Ladies and gentlemen, the idea of plausible deniability creeps into view for what we can only term as standard operational procedure and for what can only be termed as typical corporate behavior, whether it be governmental corporate behavior or private enterprise corporate behavior. Yet nowhere in this conglomeration of media from large or small platforms is telling you anything about what you can and should be done about it. The players, large and small alike, know one thing for certain. The ability to get all the people to agree on any one topic of concern is impossible. This is the basis of weaponized information systems. Keep the populace befuddled or distracted, and thereby win the war. The populations of the world are so busy trying to make ends meet, inarguably over 90% of all peoples populating the globe, that trying to find the time to do anything constructive about it also likewise becomes impossible, or at very least improbable. In a recent article we published by Harmon L. Taylor, which can be seen on the head page as I showed you earlier, we'd like to draw your attention to the fact that one cannot address a commercial problem with a political solution. Also, when considering the ideas surrounding the preponderance of how the commercial laws system works and regarding the principal idea that silence equals consent, it would seem there's nowhere to turn. However, we can for certain tell you that unless voting systems across the planet give rise to the opportunity for populations to register a vote of no confidence, and for the idea that part of the counting calculations must be for the capacity to consider that 50% of the population either eligible or registered who do not show up to be counted as part of the vote, in addition to the folks who show up to formally register a vote of no confidence, that there should be a rule structure in place which accommodates this. Politicians, acting as mere agents for corporate activity and commercial ventures in league with lobbying corporations, must be put on notice in every country that their days of bamboozling the people are numbered. Until rules are put in place which regulate what happens when a vote of no confidence prevails over the choices being given so as to remove government rather than impose more government, must also be considered. Ladies and gentlemen, you have no way of saying no. And until you find a way to pressure the election systems of your respective country from wherever you are watching this from, unless you find a coalition of the willing to pressure the election boards of your respective country, and in the case of America, the Federal Election Commission, to install the vote of no confidence, an accounting calculus which takes in account the people that don't show up who are eligible to vote, you have absolutely no way of saying no. And the only thing you will continue to see and continue to be subjected to is a grand railroad job. Ladies and gentlemen, the narratives are what they are. But it's just a mere distraction. What does any of those narratives serve to tell you about how you can better your life? Why should you be concerned with all of this stuff? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you to turn that radio off and turn that television off. Don't watch the newscasts. It's just a big PR ploy. You're not learning anything there. And it is a very poor entertainment if that's what you're doing. Entertaining yourself. Oh, sure, you can watch your favorite program and stuff like that. But your problems, ladies and gentlemen, are local. What's going on with the board of directors of your particular town or your county? Ladies and gentlemen, you have to find a way to achieve registering the vote of no confidence. We're watching the final throes of globalization being put upon the people of the world. Regionalism is coming to a town near you. And they are going to chase people out of the countrysides and chase the farmers off their farms so that the large corporate conglomerates can control the world's food supply like they control the world's energy supply and money supply. And these are what have you all locked up. Ask for a 1099 from your employer. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have right now for this edition of the Goldwater Report. We are going to start our regularly scheduled news broadcasts shortly, now that we have the packaging and animation. But we'd like to hear from you about what you want us to report about. Now we've got the investigation into the mortgage fraud. Now we've got another investigation that appears to involve trademarks. And we've got an investigation into the Federal Election Commission. And if there are any would-be researchers out there, we could certainly use a hand. Please call 312-544-0134 and let us know about anybody that's got any interesting tips or news. Anybody out there know anybody that works inside of Lockheed or Boeing or Monsanto or any of these major corporations, major banking corporations? Any whistleblowers are invited to come forward and talk to the Critical Post Chicago at 312-544-0134, or you can email Brian Sidler at bsidler@thecritical-post.com. We appreciate you spending your time with us. Stay tuned. That's all we have right now from this edition of the Goldwater Report. Again, my name is Scott Pollack, Chief Editor of the Critical Post Chicago, reporting. Thanks for watching another edition of the Goldwater Report. That is all.